Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Alex Cedillo with Mr. Deeds Buys Houses, owner and founder, and then CEO. And then here's Mr. Israel. He's the acquisitions manager, chief acquisitions manager. So he's the one that goes out to the field, as well as I, but he goes out to the field, talks with sellers and stuff, and then educates them on all the options that you can do when selling your property. So today we're going to talk about how to sell your house to an investor. Those where we buy house signs. You see the we buy house signs on the side of the streets, yards, whatever. There's ads that you see online, on the internet websites when you're doing the searches. Today we're going to just talk about how to sell to an investor and kind of what the process is, what to look for. The stuff that when we're buying houses is we buy houses in any situation. So liens, IRS liens, back taxes, judgments. Burned houses, so sometimes there's hurt to the ground, we'll buy those. Give us a call. Insurance claims where you've had a flooded house. Recently we had a lot of issues with power outages, pipes busting. People want to get their money. They were already in the process of relocating and moving somewhere else and downsizing or something like that. So you can do that and we'll help you with the claims in the process and get that and get the cash back in your pocket. Pretty houses as well. We buy the good, the bad, and the ugly. It doesn't matter. So we're going to go through kind of what's considered fair. We're just going to go back and forth. There's no real structure for it, just to help you understand what to look for, how to protect yourself when you're trying to sell to an investor buyer. Because there's a lot of guys out there, there's beginners out there that might not know the full process on the bottom side, having to deal with title issues and with the title, and they'll speak something, but they don't realize that that's not controlled by the title company. So it becomes their work that they have to do. The deal busts and you're out, 1, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the case is, even 6 months or longer in some cases. You might get into foreclosure and then lose your equity that you have. So Izzy, what's considered fair?
Well, fair.
Izzy's short for Israel, just FYI.
Yes. What's considered fair is basically when we look at a property, we look at what houses are selling in your neighborhood for fair market value, which is the same process if you were to sell your home to somebody that's gonna take out a loan, get an inspection, get an appraisal. So we look at it in the same manner. When you're selling your home, after someone likes the house, you guys agree to a purchase price, there's usually an inspection period where a licensed inspector will go ahead and look at the systems of a home to make sure that the buyer or the person with the loan is aware of the condition of the property or the big systems. Sometimes that is the part of the process where a homeowner will either request, or the buyer will request a concession, meaning, hey, this needs to be painted or this needs to be repaired. With us, we follow the same process in the sense that we look at the fair market values that homes are selling for in your neighborhood. The exception is that I'm the gentleman that will go out and do a walkthrough of the property. Nowadays, we're very flexible in how we look at properties. If you're comfortable with giving us a tour with your home, or if I'm there in person, but basically we look at what the house might need. If it needs a roof, if it needs, painting or carpet, anything that the house needs for it to be either repaired, we will go ahead and obviously take that into consideration to put together your fair offer. The other thing is, because we are investors, we can put together multiple fair offers for you. Sometimes some homeowners are upside down. Sometimes homeowners can basically get all their funds up front.
So stop real quick. You said that the seller is upside down. I know we actually had an experience, but explain what does that mean to a seller when they're upside down? What does that scenario look like?
That's a great question, Alex. And what that means is sometimes there's homeowners whose mortgage balances are way more than what the value of a house might be. And another thing that most people don't take into account is, let's just say you bought your house, you've owned it for 1 year, you put very little down payment. We find a lot of homeowners that kind of get stuck. Either they're being relocated for work, but they have the mortgage under their name, and because they didn't put a big down payment because they had financing, they also don't have a lot of equity. So they look into the options of selling it with the realtor, and they have closing costs and commissions, and now they're still they're still having to come out of pocket. So we can put fair offers in that type of situation as well.
And then that doesn't even consider when you have a potential buyer, because I've seen this multiple times where you list it with the realtor, the buyer's agent comes in, and then they have to go through the inspection. They have to get it qualified and get it appraised so that way it can qualify for the bank loan, but it doesn't pass inspection, be it termite damage, you name it, whatever. Things might have to they'll be able to approve it, but now you have to pay to fix it first before they can get the loan on the property. So there's some variables in that case and to speak on that. So the fair offer, we're gonna give you a fair cash offer. What's gonna be fair to you and fair to us. We wanna make a little bit of money, we're not trying to make a killing. Because our number one goal realistically is not just to buy the house, but to help you out of a situation. Because if we help you out of a situation, we're only looking at two other things in return. Testimonial at closing. If you got a great experience with us, we want you to tell people about us. That we're able to serve you and provide a better quality of service to handle a lot of these situations, title issues, you name it, so that way you could be comfortable and you could be confident that you're selling to us. So moving on, fast. What's fast considered in today's market?
Well, first of all, let me start with this. Some people say, I don't need to sell my house fast. We're very flexible, okay?
I like that.
It is, because it's true, right? Some people get scared. I was like, I don't need to close fast. I still need to find a mover and storage and, so we move at your pace. However, if you do need to sell fast, in today's standards, fast is usually about 7 to 10 days. Okay. I think and I use 7 very particularly because we have closed in 7 days on a home. Had a very happy homeowner. She actually gave us a referral and testimonials. I believe they were relocating, and her main thing was to sell fast. She wanted someone credible and that can keep their promise. So we were actually able to close in 7 days. Now that was very partly with a title company that we work with. We work with numerous name brand title companies here in our local area. With our relationship, we were able to tell them, hey, we need this expedited, we need to close fast. So we were able to handle all the process from the first phone call to the day that I saw the property to the closing table, all in 7 days. Typically, title companies will take about 12, 14 days to pull a preliminary title report. And this is where it's important who you are working with, because depending on the investor's level of experience, what comes up on that title report will dramatically affect the closing timelines. If you have a house, nothing wrong with it, but it's in a homeowners association, and the title company comes back and you want to close, say, in 21 days. Well, if the person that you're working with or the title company ends up sending an email to the homeowners association because they need a report so they can use it for closing, and then there's nobody at the office at the homeowners association because they went on vacation but they didn't do their reply out of office, well, guess what? You're not going to be closing in that timeline.
It could take up to, I know we've had stuff on average, minimum, I want to say like 7 to as much as 10 days, but that could delay your closing fast. But
Correct.
Go ahead.
But yes, after you get that preliminary report, that title report from the title company, if nothing of this comes up, right, like maybe any liens from the HOA, maybe some back taxes you weren't aware of, all kinds of things can happen. I've seen numerous things. Numerous homeowners tell me the title is clean and then something pops up that they weren't even aware of, or it was at none of their fault. But yeah, usually on average it can be anywhere from 12, 14 days to get that report. And then typically what we always try to help our homeowners is we always, that way they know what they're looking at, what expectations. We always typically do our agreements for 45 days or less to give them plenty of wiggle room to be able to, solidify their next steps, whether they're moving into a new house, getting movers, moving across states. A lot of homeowners feel very comfortable with this time frame from 21 to 45 days, depending on if they've already done their homework on where they're moving to next.
We've got plenty of testimonial to validate that we do what we say we're gonna do, so that gives them the comfort of knowing that. Say we do it for 45 days, but you need to close it before. Based on whatever your situation is, whatever your story is, we have that experience to understand there's a couple of little hiccups and we might need to add a little bit of time just in case. So let's say we do it for 45 days as an example. So that tells you if this comes back and we get it for whatever reason, we get it in 5 days and we push to it, we get the rest of the information, we validate everything, and we close it in 10 days. As an example. I've had as long as, I want to say it was about 18 months. It was either 15 or 18 months that we put an agreement in place and we had to wait because it was an elder. The kids were managing it, getting her to a location, trying to find this. We signed an agreement, she had the guaranteed buyer, and until she moved, we postponed it, we held it. We were there, we cleared title, we went through the whole process. There was a partial probate on there because the spouse had passed away. But we went all the way for 18 months before we had to close. That's how flexible we are. So that gave them the confidence. So we could go as long as you want. You want 5 years out and you just want to have an option, we can do that so that we have a guaranteed buyer. If you want it faster, we can typically do that. The fastest I think I've ever closed a deal was in about 3 or 4 days. Every situation is different, but yes. So that's fast. Cash offers. What does a cash offer look like to a seller? Izzy?
Well, a cash offer, the main thing most people forget is anytime that you're paying with cash. I've had a lot of sellers tell me, well, as long as the money's on my table, I don't care where it comes from.
And that's where it comes, right there. Cash. Cash right there.
What a cash offer means is it doesn't come with any strings or contingencies from a lender. A lender will go ahead and give this to a home buyer, right, that's wanting to live in it, as long as they can fulfill the down payment, as long as they can fulfill the credit score criteria, as long as the house can fulfill the inspection requirements criteria. So once the process passes all through those criteria, then the bank will release the funds to buyer, and then you can sell your house. With us, what that means is when you call me, we set up a time to do a walkthrough, I validate the condition of the home, I put together an offer. Now, us as investors, and I always tell homeowners, the main difference between us as an investor versus somebody that wants to buy your house is 2 things. Our fair cash offer is never going to match what a home buyer wants to pay for your house. 2 reasons. Because they're planning on living in the home, meaning they're not going to pay the full amount, they're going to borrow the full amount.
And then it has to get approved, go through the whole process. So you can have deals, a buyer, an end buyer, bust out of closing because they can't get qualified, or the property might not even qualify for the lender for them to buy.
Versus with us, the main difference is obviously when we're looking at an offer, we look at the fair market value of the homes, we put together, anything that it might need in repairs, and then there is a buffer on there because, we are investors. It is going to be an investment for us. We're never going to live in the home. Either it's going to be sold or it's going to be a rental. And the thing is,
meaning we're going to buy it, fix it, and sell it.
Correct.
Because we got to put in the work, the time, insurance, all the stuff that we have to do.
So we will always have a risk when owning a rental or an investment property. The third main thing about selling to an investor like our companies, we're very hands-on. So if there's a particular situation that needs hands-on, so you can either meet a deadline or get an obstacle removed to sell your house, we're the ones that will go ahead and either meet that deadline or help with that situation so you can get to your goal of selling your home.
Strongly advise always trying to get a wire so that way you get direct access. The next day you have access to it and you can do the wires to have access to your funding, to use whatever you got to do. So any condition, what does any condition mean? I know we talked about good, bad, or ugly, and we've seen some seriously ugly houses.
Any condition really just means like, when we're talking about good, bad, and ugly, I've bought homes that are in perfect condition, that were recently built, but homeowners need to go ahead and move out because of a new job location, but they don't want to be responsible for maintaining and doing a rental. So we'll buy those homes too. Bad really just means a house that is either in a lot of deferred maintenance and a lot of repairs that a house might need. When we say the ugly, we don't really say the ugly as far as a physical feature of a house. When we're talking about ugly, someone owns it, but then there's 3 other owners and they can't find them. There's sibling disputes. someone signed an agreement with somebody else, now they're being held hostage and they can't sign it because of multiple liens. That's what we mean by ugly.
Ugly condition and or ugly situation.
Yes. When you look into someone buying your home, make sure you find someone with the experience of handling your situation, because you will have someone that might not have the experience in handling the different aspects to be able to get your house sold. If it's an estate, if it's behind in liens or judgments, there's all kinds of different scenarios that can affect the resale of a home.
Where there's houses that are abandoned, maybe if you're looking at this, catty corner from your street, from your house, that house has been abandoned for as long as you can remember. Maybe the next door neighbor, yard is overgrown, house has been vacant for however long, and the rats are coming from that house. So give us a call. We have a program also that I failed to put up here. It's a COVID cash relief program. We'll pay you for those referrals once we get those and we close it. We know how to find the people, the owners, that kind of thing. So if you guys are interested, make some quick cash.
I would add to that, if someone has told you can't sell your house, give us a call.
Yeah.
Because those are the homeowners that we've brought so much value to before.
Yes. So, okay, moving on. Any situation, which we kind of drove into some of that stuff, give us a call, let us take a look at it, let's see what we can do to help you out so we can get creative and help you out of that situation. So let's talk real quick about the process. What's the process meaning for what should they expect in general terms versus kind of like what we do, but what should they expect in that process?
Yeah, I love that
Who
question.
opens title?
Now I can tell you what it looks like to sell to Mr. Deeds Buys Houses. Okay, so our process, which I wouldn't expect every process to work this way with other investors, because I can't speak on their behalf. I can speak on what situations and experiences from other homeowners have said. Wow, you guys, you made this seem very simple and easy. I didn't expect it to be this simple. But the way it looks like when you're selling to Mr. Deeds Buys Houses is you pick up the phone, you give us a call. You'll have some initial questions being asked of you. A little bit about the condition of the property, the address, and then really it should take about sometimes 5-10 minutes. A lot of times, because we give a lot of information, we want to make sure that your goals, we can match those goals, right? If it makes sense for us to meet. Next thing after that phone call is they set up a time to go look at the property. You'll likely meet with me or another one of our representatives. They'll walk through. I always say, if it's a 1,500 square foot house, I can be done in about 15-20 minutes. And it's really, I'm just looking at the structure of the house. I've had many people say, oh, I haven't cleaned, I'm sorry for the dishes. I don't even look at that. I'm looking at the walls, the plugs, the foundation, the plumbing. That's really what we're there to look at.
We're looking at the structure of the property, not.
Correct.
We're not going to make you clean up the place when you move out. So.
Exactly. Once I'm done looking at the property, about, I would say a good 85-90% of the time I can put together an offer right there on the spot, as long as there's no weird variable that I didn't foresee through our phone conversation. That's the main reason for the phone conversation. And our goal is to always, expedite your cash. So we want to expedite that offer to you. After the offer, because we do this as a business, we have all the paperwork readily available to sign a simple agreement. It states, the closing timeline. It states, how much we're paying for the property, closing costs, date of closing, and then obviously we get that paperwork. We open title with the title company here in the Houston area. Typically, it's taking about 12-14 days. During that time frame, you're talking to our closing coordinator. I will introduce you to her. She'll basically get some information that the title company will need. So basically, we streamline and handhold you through the whole process. Afterwards, if everything comes out clean, there's nothing here on the title report, we're usually ready to close in about, between that time frame, 14 to 21 days. If you need a little extra time, we'll give you that extra time. We'll answer your heartbeat. And then we schedule time for closing, and we go to closing. And it's as simple as that.
This is basically us as a one-stop shop, whereas a realtor hires, gets a surveyor, gets the appraiser, maybe gives you an inspector, this, that, and the other. We have everything right here. So this process can be pretty quick in some cases. It depends on the situation and what you're looking at, or it can be a little bit longer if you have a lot of issues. But it doesn't mean that we can't get it resolved and get money in your pocket so you can move forward, releasing this stress and being able to look at, life better and getting into the next chapter of your life. We're a company of families, help people moving forward in your life, and that way you can speak good about us. People that call us and give us multiple referrals, and obviously they're getting cash, they're getting $1,000 per closing once we close, and they love it. So it's extra money that they get to get, and that's part of kind of like our COVID relief program that we have now. So if you guys are interested, feel free to go to our website, give us a call. If you know anybody that might be in this situation, a co-worker, neighbor, about the abandoned house, just get the address, give us a call. You can go online, we can fill that form out, put your details, put your name and your number, so we can reach out to you, validate that, and we can put that on the file so we know who we're going to pay once we close and everything, and we put that together.
We are a company of integrity. I think that separates us from a lot of people. I like to sleep good at night, and I like to know that I provide value and I've impacted people in a positive way. So please feel free to reach out. All of our offers are free, no obligation. Minimum, you can always get some education about maybe your specific situation, and kind of coach you what might be the best route for you.
Yeah, we don't have to always buy your house. If we can help you out, that's the number one goal. Had a seller today, talked to her. She's looking at selling her house. It's a newer house. She's got family members living in there, and she already had some experience as the landlord / investor, so she's already familiar. She's out of state. Try to make a long story short, based on the information she gave me, I gave her the option of just turning around and doing the paperwork for them and doing owner finance. So it helps her family, but it also helps her to be able to pay off the mortgage and then be able to make a little bit of interest based on the current market in the industry, because they couldn't get a loan. So we didn't have to do the business. She was super grateful that I gave her this information that she can go do it on her own without having to sell to us, or like trying to hold our cards tight to our chest and like, no, you can't do the business without us, that kind of thing, whatever the case is. We're pretty transparent about our information. We're out to help people out, and that's our number one goal, because I think if you give, you get back plenty ways and other ways, not always from the same people, it doesn't matter. But that's the idea, so that way we can be a good name brand, that we're going nationwide, things that we do, and we try to help people out, and that's our number one goal. So we appreciate you guys, love you guys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate. You can go to our website, MrDeetzBuysHouses.com. You can follow us, like us, follow us, and share us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and eventually TikTok. So I think TikTok videos are supposed to be funny, so you won't see me on there, you'll probably see him on there.
Because I'm funny looking.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.